Various studios are constantly looking for new superhero projects that could become popular enough to earn hundreds of $1 million from release to release. There are a lot of male superheroes, and overall the market looks saturated. It makes sense that studio bosses and producers are also looking at female superheroines. Most recently, Black Widow and Wonder Woman were released on the big screens with varying success. But in the early 90s, Warner Studios did the nearly impossible. It managed to fail with a movie about the most popular superheroine at that time. Warner has a large number of failed comic book adaptations in its collection. But in the case of Catwoman, they outdid themselves. The idea to make a movie about Catwoman appeared in the early 90s. After Batman Returns, the studio wanted to build on its success and make a separate movie starring Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. But Joel Schumacher and the release of Batman Forever first pushed the release of Catwoman to a later date. And then, the project was cancelled, and the studio decided to shoot something new and original corresponding to the 21st century. And then the Warner studio began to make one strange choice after another. First, the studio removed from the cast actress Ashley Judd, who was to become a Catwoman in the early stages of production. After a while, the studio asked Requiem for a Dream director Darren Aronofsky to leave. Darren was working on a new Batman film that would feature Catwoman. It was decided it should be colorful and modern, which means it should be directed not as an independent movie, but as something with style. And that criteria were somehow met by the French director Pitof, who had just finished working on the film Vidocq. Vidocq was very popular in Europe in those years. Pitof would later say that he didn't want to shoot Catwoman from a script given to him by the studio, and offered more exciting ideas but was asked to work with the script. In general, Pitof, like many creators, believed that he could make a great movie, but he was not allowed to do such evil people from the studio. Halle Berry, who was signed to lead, also claims she didn't like the script.
I would totally change the story. I would change the characters. I would have Catwoman saving the world from some catastrophe, like male comic book characters get to do. I wouldn't be just saving women from their faces cracking off from some cream. I would make it more substantial, and I would set it in a grittier, more modern world.
And then she signed on for the Aronofsky film. But it turned out that way. Another strange object in the project was the main protagonist's costume. The thing is that before the shooting, the outfit was not shown to the test group. The creators just decided that this costume is what the audience would like. Of course, a part of the male audience only liked this costume, but mostly everyone laughed and did not understand how this costume could be shown in cinemas. But in the add-on, creators also made Patience Phillips the main character, not Selina Kyle as announced in the comics. The author stated that they wanted something original, and to promote the project on the popularity of Selina Kyle, they didn't want. The original budget for the film was $85 million. This was not the largest big budget for a comics blockbuster. The X-Men that came out a few years ago had a budget of $75 million. The studio didn't spare any money for the film, and the filming went off without any major incidents, except that on the Halle Berry once collapsed expensive sets, and the actress had to be rushed to the hospital. The first test viewing of the material turned out to be a fiasco. The audience laughing where they shouldn't and crying where they should be laughing. The film was sent for additional shooting. It was supposed to make adjustments to the story, and it was supposed to correct the situation. All the most surprising content to the test crews was removed from the film. Additional shooting naturally did not help, but they increased the budget to $100 million. The filmmakers removed all the questionable moments, reduced the timing to 100 minutes, and sent it to cinemas. Most likely now, the film would have grossed more money in theaters. All comics now make hundreds of millions, sometimes billions. But back then, it was different. And Catwoman managed to collect just over $82 million. It was a resounding failure. From viewers and critics, reviews were only unflattering. On specialized resources, reviews are lower than in any other superhero movie. And as usual, after the failure, none of the film's producers stood up for the movie. Sharon Stone, who played a villain in the film, immediately after its premiere asked the studio to remove actor Benjamin Bratt from the upcoming film Basic Instinct 2. According to rumors, she said that a more talentless actor she had never seen in her life. Pitof's career as a director was pretty much over. His shooting style was criticized almost more than anything else. And the episode with the basketball game from the film and was a classic example of incredibly mediocre performance. Catwoman receives 7 nominations for the Golden Raspberry, winning the picture won in 4 categories, among which were the worst film, the worst director, and the worst actress. Halle Berry came to the Golden Raspberry ceremony and bragging about the Oscar she won a couple of years before Catwoman for her role in Monsters Ball. But all plans for a sequel were immediately cancelled. The movie was preferred to be quickly forgotten about. And even Wonder Woman, coming out in 2017, was promoted as the first female superhero movie.